Sonya, Russo here from NABS Mindfulness. This is the second video for NABS, and today we're going to be talking about mental health and how mindfulness can help. So everybody has mental health. It just goes up and down on the spectrum depending on our levels of stress and how we're looking after ourselves. So much like our physical health goes up and down in terms of how much exercise we're getting, nutrition, our immune system, seasonal coughs and colds, our mental health goes up and down as well. I know that if I train more, look after my diet, my physical health will improve. So it's the same with our mental health. I know that if I do more self-care, I'm aware of stress levels, that I can improve my mental health. Mental health is a person's condition in regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. And what can trigger the negative side of mental health, things like depression, anxiety, is stress. Stress and our inability to manage it, or not having the right tools, or having a new type of stress, can trigger these mental health conditions. Now, it's important to say that stress is really important. We need stress. Our body needs that rush of cortisol sometimes. It helps us finish tasks, motivates us, drives us, gets us up in the morning, and gets us, ready to see a brand new day. However, when we have too much stress or a new type of stress, we don't always cope as well as we'd like to. And this is when it can trigger depression and anxiety. The UK has been really great over the last couple of years in terms of talking about mental health. And it's somewhat of our own pandemic as well. Mental health cases have shot up over the last few years due to our busy lifestyles, our lack of work-life balance, and the pressures that the modern day brings us. So if we're looking to improve our ability to manage stress, mindfulness and meditation can be a key tool in this. Other conditions as well, which aren't really spoken about but need to be, are the more acute end of mental health. And these are things like psychosis, schizophrenia, PTSD, self-harm, eating disorders, and nobody is immune to these. Depression and anxiety can build up and lead to some of these more severe mental health issues. Sometimes they are inherited, they are part of our DNA, and sometimes they're environmental. But either way, it's stress that triggers them. So we need to manage our stress. We need to have some time for ourselves and be aware, just like our physical health, that our mental health maybe isn't as strong right now. And especially with everything that's going on, we're feeling a lot of stress and anxiety. So it's ever more important that we start to take care of ourselves. Some of the signs and symptoms that we need to look out for are starting with appetite. We might be eating less or eating more. Sleep. We might find ourselves fatigued throughout the day, unable to sleep at night, or we might be sleeping way too much. We might notice that we lack concentration, we lack focus, we're not finishing those tasks, we might not be motivated, finding it difficult to do our emails, do our work, help with the child's homework. We might really be finding those things a struggle. We also need to look at things like withdrawal. There are only so many Zoom quizzes that you can take part in, and that's fine. Believe me, I've declined more than my fair share. But if you notice that you're not communicating with your friends, you're not picking up the phone to talk to people, something might not be well. Also, as well, we need to have a look at our levels of alcohol and drug intake. So if we're drinking to excess, more than normal, these are signs that maybe something isn't quite right. Now, all of these symptoms in isolation are manageable and not necessarily a sign of a mental health condition. But if you have a combination of these, if you're struggling with 3 or 4 of these conditions and you have a low mood, you're snappy, you're more argumentative, then it might be time to seek help. What we're really looking for is a change in someone's normal behaviour. Obviously, our lives have changed dramatically, but if you can't get through a normal day the way you used to, if your routine has changed, and again, a couple of these symptoms, then maybe it's time to get some help. So mindfulness can help because simply it reduces stress. When we're mindful, we're limiting the amount of content that goes in our mind, the busyness of our mind, which is often negative thinking and very stressful thinking. So by staying in the moment, we're limiting the amount of negative impact that it has on the mind, but it also has a negative impact on our physical selves as well. So something like meditation for 5 to 20 minutes a day, maybe using one of the audios we've provided for NABS, is not only a great form of self-care, but it's also preventing you from developing any kind of further mental health issues. There are 4 pillars in mindfulness that we try to live by to live a happy and content life. And we need to try and implement them into our days even more so. So the first thing that we live by is routine and regime. So that means waking up, having a shower, getting dressed for work, even though you're sat at your laptop, mapping out your day. So hour by hour, putting down your work schedule, your family schedule, a bit of self-care time, time to cook. Give yourself that routine back that you would have had with commute, going to the office, lunch breaks. That way you know what you're supposed to be doing at any given moment. Mastering a new skill. So learning something new, trying something different is really important to keep our brains sharp and to keep us happy. So we have ample time at the moment to get cracking on that DIY job or learning some Spanish, trying art, something brand new that your mind, will be switched on by and engaged by. By doing this, you're going to be using up lots of energy and finding new focus, and hopefully you'll feel really content from doing it and get a great night's sleep. The other part of mindfulness is community, being part of our community. At the moment, we're seeing really lovely stories about community, helping one another and coming outside to clap for the NHS. So see what you can do in your community, whether it's just when you go for a walk, just saying hello to somebody or picking up the phone and asking somebody if they might need help. That sense of community, that sense of togetherness leads to contentment and happiness. Being part of something bigger than your own little bubble, remembering that the whole world is out there and we're all in this together. Finally, another thing we need to adopt is kindness. So not only kindness for other people, but self-kindness as well. When we're kind, it releases endorphins, it makes us feel good. So probably merging your community objective and your kindness together, you can do something really wonderful for something else, and importantly, come away feeling absolutely fabulous for it. So try and introduce those 4 pillars. So a routine, a regime to your everyday life, mastering a new skill, so trying something brand new, learning something brand new, being part of your community, and acts of kindness. Now, preventing mental health comes down to a few factors. So if we're looking to keep ourselves mentally well, mindfulness is a great tool for that. We know it reduces stress, depression, and anxiety. We also need to look at our health and nutrition, looking at how much alcohol we're taking, how many snacks we're taking. These all have a huge impact on our mental health. So try and eat healthy for a healthy mind. And another preventative tool is work-life balance. Not hiding behind the computer all day, making sure you're spending time with your loved ones, and having some time to switch off as well. Now, the other step that you can take in supporting your mental health and other people's mental health is to simply talk. If you're not feeling so great, pick up the phone and talk to somebody about it. Share your experiences. I had years of issues with mental health before I became a mindfulness facilitator and before I used mindfulness to help me. And one of the biggest things I take from that is sharing my story and journey with other people. We need to make mental health an open subject, because that way we're going to help other people by having them talk back to us and open up, and we can then help them get some advice or some support. Finally, if you do feel like you're struggling with mental health, make sure you do pick up that phone and you can talk to somebody you trust. Our GPs are still open. NABS has a wonderful helpline and support line that you can get in touch with. And also as well, if you feel like you're in a crisis or an acute state of mental health, know that there is 24-hour service with the NHS at A&E. So if you're not feeling great, if you're very worried about yourself or somebody else's mental health, you can go to Accident and Emergency, and there is always an on-call psychologist who can diagnose you, get you help in that instant, and then drive you to get further treatment. Also as well, some of you still might have HR teams that are working, and they are there for you. They're there for your well-being. So feel free to get in touch with somebody in HR in your team that can help you in confidence. Now's not the time to shy away and feel like that you're pressuring people and it's not all about you. There is a lot of us suffering with stress and anxiety, and there's nothing wrong with getting help at the moment. One of the things I'd like you to try today is a simple breathing and visualization technique. Later on, sit with your eyes closed if you can, and just tune into the thoughts in your head and notice how you're feeling, what thoughts have triggered you to feel stressed or anxious. And I want you to give that emotion that you're feeling that's overwhelming you a shape. So for example, if I'm feeling angry, I'm going to give that emotion the shape of a star. And then I want you to give it a color as well. So my anger is going to be represented as a red star. And I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to focus all my attention on this red star in front of me. And I'm going to use my breathing to blow on this shape. And with every breath that I take, it's like a spray painter. It's going to spray it white. So breathing over this shape, and the more I breathe and focus on it, I'm imagining the color fading and a nice white spray going over that shape. And keep doing that until the whole shape is white and crystal clear. And that time out, that 5-8 minutes of acknowledging how you're feeling, acknowledging that this emotion's with you, not thinking about it, not beating yourself up about it, and simply being proactive and working towards getting some peace and trying to manage it and trying to shift it away, using that visualization should go some way to help. So keep an eye on yourself during the day. When you notice you're consumed with stress, anxiety, anger, anything negative, take 5 minutes, take time out to sit, visualize it, put it in a shape and a color, and manage it with your breathing and give it some focus and attention.